Let me ask you something, child. Have you ever looked at someone and wondered, how do they do it? How do they stay so consistent, so focused, so unshakable? It's not what you think. It's not their alarm clock, not their protein shake, not their bookshelves filled with self-help manuals. It's something quieter, something hidden, something invisible. I've lived long enough to see people come and go, talented ones, brilliant ones, strong ones, all disappear into regret and distraction. And I've seen ordinary men and women, barely noticed, barely praised, slowly build empires from the inside out. And when you sit with them, when you listen close, you realize there's something they do that no one else sees, and it changes everything. But this habit, it's not loud. It's not flashy. You won't find it trending. It's a seed planted in the dark, watered by discipline, rooted in identity, and grown in silence. And that seed, that's what separates the ones who rise from the ones who almost do. So listen close, because if you've ever wondered why your goals don't stick, why your motivation fades, why you feel so close to changing but keep slipping back, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're broken. It's because you've ignored the invisible habit, the one that shapes every choice, every day, every version of your future. Part 1. Success doesn't start with action. It starts with something before that. You've been taught to do more, grind harder, push through. And for a while, that works. The world even claps for you when you move fast. But I'm going to tell you something no one says out loud. Success does not begin with action. It begins with identity, because action is a symptom. It is the echo of a deeper belief. Let me explain. Two people set the same goal. One succeeds, one doesn't. Was it motivation? Number? Was it willpower? Not really. It was the story they were telling themselves when the doors were closed, when no one was watching, when it was dark and quiet and painful. The winner didn't just set a goal. He saw himself differently, not as someone trying to be fit, but as someone who is disciplined, not as someone trying to build wealth, but as someone who deserves abundance, not as someone hoping to win, but as someone who expects to lead. This isn't mindset fluff. It's the foundation. Because if your actions don't align with who you think you are, you'll sabotage every step. It's like planting roses in poisoned soil. They won't grow, not because the roses are bad, but because the foundation is. Your actions can never outrun your identity. Your life can never rise higher than your self-image. And that's where it begins. Not with hustle, but with the courage to believe, this is who I am, and my actions are just proof of that. Part 2. Winners don't just act differently, they see themselves differently. Let me tell you about two boys I knew, same age, same town, same school, both smart, both had dreams, both said, one day I'll make it. 10 years later, one's leading a company, inspiring others, building legacy. The other, still stuck, still doubting, still waiting. You might say, life just hit them differently. But no, child, life hit them both. One just knew how to stand back up. And here's the difference. The winner rehearsed the man he was becoming until he could no longer pretend to be anyone else. Every morning, he didn't just go through the motions. He asked himself, what would the future me do today? Would he skip the gym? Would he waste time arguing online? Would he scroll for hours to avoid the silence? Number, he acted like the man he was building long before the results showed up. It looked small, insignificant. But day after day, He cast vote after vote, not for the man he used to be, but for the man he chose to become. And the other boy? He chased feeling, motivation. He waited for things to click. But winners don't wait for clarity. They build it. And the only way to build it is to act like you already are the version of you dream of becoming, even when no one believes it yet. Especially when you don't either. Part 3. If you don't install this habit, everything else will collapse eventually. This world is full of men who start strong, they rise fast, they flash bright, and then they disappear. Not because they weren't capable, not because they didn't try, but because deep down, they never became the kind of person who could sustain what they built. Your success will only grow as far as your character does. And character, it's not built in pressure. It's built in silence. It's built in that moment when no one's watching and you're tired and the easy choice is whispering in your ear. And you say no. That's identity at work. You can fake hard work for a while. You can fake confidence for a few months. But eventually, your internal world pulls you back to your default. And if your default identity is small, if you still think you're not worthy, if you still believe you're an imposter, you'll find a way to destroy what you built, not because you want to fail, but because you don't believe you're allowed to win. That's why this invisible habit matters. Without it, you'll always collapse under your own growth. Part 4. Here's how to build it in silence, without motivation, without anyone noticing. Now you're asking, okay, Uncle Bright, how do I change that identity? Let me show you. Not with hype, not with apps, not with dopamine hacks, just with intention and quiet, consistent practice. Each morning, before the world grabs your attention, I want you to speak life into your reflection. No, not affirmations, declarations. The kind that remind your soul who you are becoming. I am disciplined, even when it's hard. I protect my energy like a warrior guards his gate. I create my life with my choices, not my feelings. I am the kind of man who finishes what he starts. And then, before you check your phone, before you distract yourself with noise, do one action. One small thing that proves that belief. Make your bed, write your plan, drink water, pray, send that scary email. Whatever it is, do it not for the result, but to prove to your brain, this is who I am now. And then do it again tomorrow and the next day, and watch your life bend, not because of some magic, but because your identity caught up with your potential. And once those two align, you become unstoppable. The world will reward who you pretend to be, but life only rewards who you really are. You can fake your way through almost anything, your resume, your posts, your smile, but life, real life, it pays you in direct proportion to who you actually believe you are. You want to build something that lasts? Stop focusing on how you look. Start focusing on who you are when no one's looking. The quiet choices, the hidden votes, that's what makes a man worth following. And someday, you'll be the one people come to for answers. And when they ask how you did it, you'll smile. Because the truth is, it wasn't one big move. It was 1,000 invisible ones, made every day, in silence. When it would have been easier to quit, that's the habit. That's the difference. And now, you have a choice. Become the man you promised yourself you'd be, not tomorrow. Now quietly, consistently, like a soldier reporting to duty, even when no one's watching. That's the invisible habit. and it's time to build.